Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to achieve sticky sections in Kadence or in your WordPress website in general. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to be able to accomplish this. For example, let's say you have a website like this. So this is a restaurant website and you have your featured area over here, your call to action, and maybe this area right here at the bottom has some important information that you want to remain on the screen as the user scrolls up and down on your site. So if we start to scroll here, you'll notice that section scrolls along with the page, and then when it hits the top, it stays in place while the rest of the page continues to move. So I'm going to show you how to accomplish that. I'm also going to show you how to accomplish that briefly. So let's say we go to the contact page as an example. And you can do this with any number of types of pages, donation pages or event pages, but we're going to use this contact page as an example. And let's say you're scrolling down and you're consuming the information on the contact page. And over here we have a contact form. And you want that form to remain in place while the person continues to look at the rest of the information. So as you scroll down, you'll notice that the contact form stays in place while the rest of the website continues to scroll as they scroll. If they open up any of the question and answers here, it still stays in place. But once it gets to the map area, it then collects the page and everything continues to shift as normal. So I'm going to show you how to accomplish that. If you guys are ready for this tutorial and want to learn how to create sticky sections in Kadence, then let's go ahead and jump right into the tutorial. Okay, so here we are with a fresh install of WordPress. If you'd like to follow along, we're going to start with a fresh install of WordPress. I'm going to go ahead and install all our tools to get to the point where we are taking a look at the sections and creating these sticky sections. Okay, so this is our fresh install of WordPress, and this is the default WordPress theme that comes when you first install it. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and install the Kadence free theme, and we're going to install the Kadence blocks free version as well. So to do the theme, we're going to go ahead and go to the dashboard. So just go up here, go to your dashboard, and you're going to go to Appearance, Themes, click on Add New, and you're going to do a search for Kadence. When you do that search, you will see the Kadence theme right here. Click on Install and activate. Okay, so now our theme is now installed. We can go ahead and visit the site. And you can see that now we have the Kadence default layout in place. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install the Kadence blocks. Kadence blocks will allow us to be able to build out the rows and sections and elements that are going to make up any kind of page that you want to build out on your website. Okay, so we're going to go here to the dashboard, go to Plugins, click on Add New, and in the search bar, you're going to look for Kadence blocks. Here it is right here. Click on Install Now and activate. All right, so here are all the blocks that you will have access to. There is a pro version of Kadence blocks and a pro version of the Kadence Pro Theme add-on. We're not going to need that for this specific tutorial, but if you are interested in that, you can go to CliftonWP.com/Kadence, and it will take you to the Kadence website. That is an affiliate link, so anything you buy here does provide a small commission to the channel and supports the channel. And if you do that, thank you in advance for doing that. Of course, you do not have to do that to be able to get the premium versions of the plugin and the Pro Theme add-on. But if you do decide to go through with that, I highly recommend that you get the full bundle. The Essential bundle is also great. That will give you the Kadence Blocks Pro, Kadence Theme Pro, and the Pro Starter templates. But the full bundle, the reason I like this is that it gives you every single plugin that Kadence has for one very affordable price. And then you get to participate in other features such as the e-commerce features and the pop-up features of Kadence and many more. You can also get the lifetime full bundle where you pay one price and you get access to all their future products for no additional cost, and you can use it on unlimited websites. It's pretty powerful value for the money. Okay, but this is the pro version, and we're actually not going to need that for this tutorial. So let's go back to our site here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install a starter template, and then we're going to make those sections sticky. But before we do that, one thing that we do want to explore is the rows and sections capabilities first, so that you have a better understanding of what we're doing once we start making the sections sticky. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at a few blocks, a few sections, and play around with some settings, and then we'll proceed to making our website have sticky sections. Okay, so let's get a better understanding of how the sticky component of Kadence Sections actually works. Okay, first, what is a section? Okay, now if you were to look at any website, websites are made of rows and sections. So this would be an entire row of content, and within that row are text components, button components, and so on. But also within this, especially in Kadence, there's also a section component as well. And every web page is made up of rows and sections. So this would be a 2-column row, right? And it's got 2 sections in it. This will be another 2-column row, and it's got 2 sections in it. And here's another 2 sections below that. Okay, so the sticky component, the sticky feature in Kadence actually applies to these individual sections. Okay, that's where the sticky feature lies. So to have a better understanding of that, let's go ahead and just take a look at a page. So if we go to, let's just create a page and click on add new, and we're just going to call this rows and sections explained. And then once we're done with this, we can go ahead and have some fun playing around with this feature. Okay, so when you first set up a page in Kadence and you're going to build out a website, usually you're going to create it using rows and sections. Rows and sections, if you were to open up this blue, click on this blue icon here, you would see all the blocks that come with Kadence blocks. Okay, so these are all the blocks that come with Kadence blocks, and then below that are the default blocks that come with WordPress. And you can use any of these elements to build out any kind of web page that you want. Now, what we're focusing on are the row layout block, which is this one over here, and the section block, which is a new block that Kadence introduced that used to only be contained inside of a row layout. So if I were to drag out a row layout, for instance, and just drop it in here, you can see over here that this is made up of, this gives you an option of multiple layouts, everything from 1 column to as many as 6 columns. And let's just say I selected 3 columns, and then this is what I wanted to use. So you'll see over here, when I click here, see this blue outline, that's the row. And then the columns on the inside are the sections. And if I were to open this up in list view, so it's open up in list view, if you go over here to this icon right here, which is the list view icon, click on it, it will open up the list view for this page, which will show you all the blocks that make up this page. Currently, it's just a row layout. If I would expand this row layout, I would then see the sections that make up this row layout. And you can see that there are 3 sections. If you select one section and you look over to the right, you will notice that there are sticky settings for that specific section. So there's a sticky section setting for every section. And to understand how these sticky sections work, okay, we're going to place some elements in here and just do a quick demo. So if I click on the plus sign, and I'm going to do a search for an info box, which is just some piece of information, an icon, right? So here's an info box, and that's now added to this section. Okay, let's go ahead and add info boxes to each section. Okay, so now we have info boxes in each section. Okay, now that we have some components in here, if we were to make one section sticky and just allow the other ones to move past, then we would essentially be setting up a sticky section. And the way we would do that is, let's say I select the 3rd section here, so the section all the way to the right, and I open up the sticky settings, which are over here, toggle on the make sticky icon here, and this is just asking you how far from the top of the page do you want the sticky effect to occur. So you can say you want it to happen at 20 pixels as an example, or you can say you don't want it to happen at all, and then it will just stick to the top of the page. Okay, so now that you've done that, if we click on publish and we view this page, what you'll notice is, first, we don't have enough movement. There's not enough space for us to actually trigger the sticky effect. So the next thing we need to do is create some space. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and edit the page. All right, and then this is where the sticky aspect is unique. If I select this section again, open up my list view, select that section, look over here to the right, under sticky settings, there's a little note. And it says here, this will stick the section to viewport for the height of an outer block. So that means your outer block, which is your row, okay, your outer block has to have some height. To create that height, if you notice the 3 columns, we're going to need some of these, at least 1 or 2 of the columns, to extend the height of the block. And the way you extend the height of the block is to have more elements. And an element could be anything. It could be text, it could be another info box, it could be anything that extends the height of the adjacent sections while nothing goes underneath the section that's made to be sticky. So let me demonstrate what I just explained. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate these title blocks here. So I'm going to select one of them, and just so we can see what we're doing, I'm going to go to the container settings over here, and where it says margin, I'm just going to add a 20 pixel margin below it, and then I'm going to copy my style and apply it to the second one. That way, when I select this info box, I hit the options over here. I'm going to click on duplicate. There will be a space between the 2 of them like that. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this about 4 times. So I'm going to grab a second one, open up the options, duplicate. And let's do that one more time. Okay, so what this will allow is for there to be an extension of the outer block by the element. So if you notice here already, this is already sticking to the top there like that. Okay, let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Let's just duplicate this one. All right, so now you can see this section is now sticking to the top there. So let's go ahead and update the page, and we click on the view page, and as you start to scroll, you'll notice that that element stays stuck to the top there, right? Now, what's really cool about this is this will stay stuck to the top till it meets another element below that one. So let's go ahead and click on edit page. And what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to add a whole nother row, and I'm going to make it a 1 column row. And I'm going to go ahead and copy one of these blocks and paste it in here. So paragraph, Command V, and it's pasted. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time, just so we can have a sort of a layout here. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to click on update. Let's view the page, and then I'm going to start whoops, it's supposed to view the page. Let's see here. Let's just make a little change so that it thinks we did something. Yeah, why don't we add another one there, update. Okay, so now when we view the page here, okay, and we start to scroll, notice that this stays sticky, and it will stay sticky until it meets that bottom row, and then it disappears. Okay, so you can create some really cool pages with something like this. This could be a form, it could be an opt-in form, or a contact form, or your own personal information that you want to stay in place, or a table of contents. It could be anything that you want. We're just using this as a quick example. All right, so now you kind of understand how to utilize these sticky sections and what will get them to actually work. It requires that the adjacent sections, and you have to have at least 2 columns. We have 3 here, but it just requires that the adjacent sections have more content in them than the sticky section. Okay, in order for you to create that effect. All right, so now that we've done that, next we're going to actually show this on an actual live site where we're going to modify a template to utilize this type of sticky section. And then I'm going to introduce to you a plugin that will allow you to create a sticky section that goes all the way across and doesn't require you to have extended components or extended information in adjacent sections at all. And that way you'll have multiple ways to create sections on your web pages that are sticky. All right, so to demonstrate this, we're going to go ahead and go back to the dashboard. And if you are following along and you've installed the Kadence blocks and the Kadence theme, then you will also see this notice that says install the Kadence starter templates. Now the Kadence starter templates is one of the best features of the Kadence suite. You get access to this whether you're using the free version or the pro version, but what they are fully built websites that you can use as starting points for practically any kind of website that you want. And they are always releasing new ones all the time. The latest one that they just released is this roofing one, which is a great layout for a business site, but they have everything from political sites to blogs and event websites, yoga websites, and membership websites that you can utilize as a starting point for your own websites. Now, me personally, I typically don't use templates to build out sites, especially if we're working with clients. We create our own layouts. However, some of these templates have excellent sections and excellent layouts that you can use as inspiration, and some of them you can even use to go ahead and launch a website quickly. So that's what we're going to be doing here to demonstrate the sticky sections with Kadence. So if you go to your dashboard and you're not seeing this install Kadence starter template notification in the back end, just go to plugins, click on add new, and do a search for Kadence starter. And if you do that search, you will see the starter templates there that you can go ahead and install, and it will work just the same way. Okay, so just click on install starter templates, and you'll have all those templates in your backend here. Okay, now if you're using the free version, you won't have access to the pro templates, but you will have access to all the other ones. And the one we're going to be using in this example is a free one. So those free ones you're welcome to use. Okay, so the one that we want to use is the resto template. So just go ahead and click on it. And here is where you can kind of take a look at it, at a nice preview of it. You can change the color scheme so you can see what it looks like with different color schemes. Okay, you can also reset it back to the original color scheme. And then you can even change the font family. So if I wanted a different type of font and I wanted to preview what that looked like, I can go ahead and select some fonts here as well. But I'm just going to use the same fonts that it came with. And then over here, it will tell you the required plugins. So this one has the Kadence blocks, which we already have. And then it also utilizes WooCommerce, which we're not going to be using here right now. So, but whatever you don't have, if it's free and available in the repository, it will install for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to install the full site. So I'm going to go ahead and click on full site. And then over here, I'm going to accept the privacy policy. And you can go ahead and subscribe. I've already subscribed, so I'm just going to skip and start importing. Okay, so now that the website is imported, we're going to go ahead and click on View Your Site. And when you go to the front end, you'll now see that we have the starter website installed. And this just looks simply great. Okay, it's ready for you to utilize and customize. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we want to accomplish two things. If you look on the home page, you will notice that this section right here, okay, we want to make this sticky. So if you're scrolling on it now, if you're following along, you notice it doesn't stick to the page right now. And then we also want to do a sticky section here on the contact page where there is a contact form. So we want this contact form to be sticky as well, so that when people are scrolling, it stays in the viewport and the rest of the information continues to scroll. Okay, so we're going to actually start with the contact page first, and then we will go to the home page and we will make this sticky as well. Okay, so let's start with our contact page. So I'm going to go over here to the contact page, and in looking at the page, I can immediately identify that we have a 3-column row here. This is a 2-column row. And then we have a 1-column row here that's holding the map. So we're going to be working on this 2-column row. And the goal is to make the form sticky while the rest of the content continues to scroll. Now, in order to pull this off, we're definitely going to need more content under the left side of this column. And that more content is what's going to allow the outer row to extend in height. Okay, so that it has something to scroll about. So we're going to click over to Edit Page. And we can just add some more content below here. Some good content that we can add is maybe a frequently asked questions, right? So that goes great on a contact page. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this heading, and I'm going to open up the options, and I'm going to click on duplicate. And then we're just going to use these arrows to push it down below the last bit of text here. And then we're going to change this to frequently asked questions. And then remember, the reason we're doing this is because your sticky effect won't work if both of these sections here, right? So if each section is the same height and the outer container doesn't have enough space, enough height, it won't work. So the goal here is to come over here to this section right over here. So if I select this section, if you look over here to the right, we look at the sticky settings. If we make this sticky, see right here, it tells you this will stick the section to viewport for the height of an outer block. So to create that height, we need to have more information on one side of the column than we do on the column that's actually going to be sticky. Okay, so, and let's add an offset over here just to keep it nice and neat. So I'm going to add an offset of 20 pixels. Okay, now we need to add more content here. So a good sampling of content could be frequently asked questions. So I'm going to click on the plus sign over here, and I'm going to do a search for accordion, which is what your FAQs are usually made out of. And here's the accordion block from Kadence. I'm going to select that, and I'm just going to select the first style that they have. Okay, so here's our accordion, and we can just call this one question 1, and here question 2, and we'll allow for 8 questions to give us some nice height. And so I'm just going to grab some text, dummy text from my lorem ipsum, and we're going to paste that in here. And then we're going to go to the second one. We're just going to paste that text there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the second accordion option, second pane here, and open up the option, and I'm going to duplicate it, change the title to question 3, and then duplicate that, change the title to question 4, and I'm just going to continue doing this until I have about 8 questions, and that'll make it nice and long. Now you might have noticed that as I'm doing this and scrolling, this is already sticky and in place. You can kind of see the form, right? The form is sticky and in place already. So it's a really nice, simple visual effect. So next, what I want us to do is we're just going to style this a little bit before we go look at it at the front end. So I'm going to select the accordion, move over here to the right. I'm going to say that I want all the panes to start with all the panes closed. And then we're going to go over here to the pane title spacing. And I want to put a spacer between each one of about 5 pixels. And then the title color over here. So when you're looking at these title colors, we have normal, hover, and active. This is what the normal view looks like. This is what it looks like when it's active. It's also what it looks like when it's hover. It's darker. So we just want to change that to match the colors of our theme over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here with the normal, looking over here, and we're going to change this background. What I want on this background is I want it to be transparent. I'm going to change the title color to be the highlight color, which is kind of gold, and I want the border color to be the same. So I'm just selecting it here and selecting that color. And for the border, and we're going to go ahead and let's add a border to it. So right here we have the pane title border. We're going to set that to 1, and let's set the radius to 3. Soften it up a little bit. All right, so now that looks pretty good. And then next we can go over to the active, which will be the same as which will mirror for the hover as well. So I'm going to go to active over here on the pane title color settings. I'm going to select active. And so when it is active, I want the color to be darker, and I want the background to be light, but a subtle light color. So this subtle background right here will do just like that. Okay, and then the border color can be a brighter color like that, the brighter version of the highlight color. Okay, and then the next thing that I want to do here is I want to change the I want to change the icon. So right here is a pane title trigger icon. Let's open that up. We have a couple of options over here, and the one that I want to use is this one because it's nice and subtle. Okay, and that looks great. Okay, so now that we have completed that, let's take a look at what it looks like on the front end. I'm going to click on Update, and then I'm going to go to View Page. And this is now our contact page. We've made the right side sticky, and as I start to scroll, here it is, it's sticky. Okay, it's sticky. And here's our frequently asked questions, nicely laid out. And once it hits the map, it moves along with the page. All right, so you can see how easy that was to do. And you can kind of think about using something like this. You can use it on an events page or a donation page where you have the donation form on the right and all the content on the left. And it just creates a nice effect. Now you may be asking, how does this work on mobile devices? Okay, so if we go back to the page over here and we look at this on mobile, one of the things that you'll notice when we're creating a sticky section, so I'm just going to select that section again, make sure the section is selected, open up the sticky section. And one of the things that you'll notice here is on a mobile device, the sticky section doesn't do anything, right? Why? Well, this is because of where it is placed. So let's actually look at it in a real mobile device or a simulated mobile device. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Chrome developer tool. And we're going to set this to a mobile responsive device. And what you'll notice as we start to scroll is that it doesn't stick, right? This is the form. So it doesn't work on mobile. And the reason why is because it just wouldn't make any sense for it to be sticky, right? At that point, wouldn't make any sense. If you wanted to do something like that, we could do it with an element, but in this case, it doesn't work on mobile devices. It only works on the desktop version. So you're pretty much covered there. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to do to make this section sticky. Okay. And the effect that we want is we want it to be sticky all the way through. We want the entire section over here to be sticky past all these other sections and all these other rows and still be in plain view. To do that, you're not going to be able to accomplish that with the sticky option that Kadence has, but there is a sticky container plugin that you can use to create that effect, and that's what we're going to look at next. Okay, so for this next piece, we want to make this section sticky, and we want it to be sticky all the way through the entire page. So here's what you're going to need to do. If you go to the dashboard, go to plugins, click on add new, and we're going to do a search for a sticky block. When you do that search, you'll see right over here, sticky block for Gutenberg editor. Okay, go ahead and install and activate. And you'll see it right here. So what this block is it is a block that basically is also a container block. And its sole purpose is to make pretty much anything on your page sticky. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on edit page. And then when you get to this section right here, you'll notice if we open this up in list view, this is a row layout. It's the second row layout over here. And within this row layout, there are two sections. And it looks like within this section over here, there are 4 more sections. Okay, so what we want to do is we actually want to place all of this, including the row itself. So we want this entire row inside of our sticky block. So the entire row inside of our sticky block. Okay, and the way we're going to do that is first you're going to collapse this row. Then I'm going to click on the options for the row layout block right over here. And I'm going to click on copy. That's going to copy everything that's contained within this row. And then I'm going to close my list view. And I want to add a block right after this row block. Okay, so I want to add a block right below this row block. Now sometimes it can appear a little bit difficult to do, but it isn't actually. Just go ahead and select that row. If you have a hard time selecting the row, again, you can always use the help of the list view. Select the row itself. And then from here, you can either click on the options here, or you can use the options right over here. But let's just use the options here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Insert After. Insert After. So once you click on that, it will insert a paragraph placement right after that row. Okay. And so within here, what I want to do is I'm going to do a / and I'm going to type sticky. Okay. And by doing that, it gives me the option for the sticky block container. So I'm going to select it. And now what you're seeing now is this sticky block container. You'll even see the icon right over there. See that? So that's the icon. Okay. So now that we have that sticky container, if we look over here to the right, these are all the options for the sticky. So what it's saying here is this, there's a first option is the space between the sticky block and the top of the screen. So you can set this to whatever you want and it will create that space before it becomes sticky. You can move the block down a little bit if there's a toolbar at the top. So this is if you're logged in. And then you can even set the viewport screen size for where you no longer want the item to be sticky. So this is great for your mobile devices. And then there's a push up element, right? So it needs to find an element for which you no longer want the sticky effect to continue and for it to then push up the entire section. And then the Z index will allow you to pull that sticky to the front just in case there are elements where it will have a tendency to get behind those elements and not be seen. So we'll utilize all these features. But now that we have this sticky block, now that we have it highlighted, and it says right here, type / choose to choose a block, we can just click inside of here and do a Command V, and it will paste in the entire block, the entire row that we copied initially. Okay, so now that row is pasted in. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select the outer row that we had before. And we no longer need this one, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So I'm going to select it and click on Remove Row Layout. And just like that, we now have the sticky container, and inside of that sticky container, we now have the row layout as well. Okay, so right now, without placing any kind of settings, all right, so no settings at all yet for the sticky portion, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Update. And let's view the page and see how that looks. So as you can see, it looks exactly the same, right? Nothing's changed. And as I start to scroll, you can see right here, it's sticking. Now you notice my toolbar is blocking a little bit. And you also notice that the sticky section is going behind some of the information here. So we can kind of see that like that. Okay. And I'll explain to you why all this is happening. But you can see that it stays sticky throughout the entire page, which is the effect that we wanted. So now let's just make some tweaks to clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Edit Page. Okay. And I'm going to open up the list view so that I can see everything here on the right. And I'm going to take a look at what's going on here. So what I notice is that this row, if I look over to the right and I go over to the padding and margin, there is a -50 margin for that row. That's what's giving it that effect of it overlapping the top featured area. So if we close this effect right here, and that's inside of the sticky. So we don't want that. I'm going to go ahead and zero that out. That's going to push it down and it will no longer overlap, which is just fine. Now, if I open up my list view again and I look at my sticky, I'll notice that my sticky block doesn't have options for margins. It doesn't have any option for the margins, and I want those options. Okay, so because I want those options, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and collapse this. I'm going to right click on the options. I'm going to click on copy. Okay. And then I'm also going to click on Insert After. That's going to give me another insertion spot for me to add more information, for me to add a block. And the block that I actually want to add this time is I want to add a row block. I want to add a row layout. I'm going to add a 1-column row. And for this 1-column row, I'm going to zero out the padding by opening up the padding options. And I'll make that a 0. 0 on the bottom as well. 0 on the right. And 0 on the left. Okay. And then I'm going to click on the plus sign inside of this row block. I'm going to select paragraph and press Command V to go ahead and paste everything in there. Okay, so what I've done is I've duplicated this section but inside of a row, and that's going to allow me to leverage the rows, padding, and margin options. So now I can come over here to this sticky, the initial one, and I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I don't need it anymore. Okay, and now it's gone. Okay, so now I can just deal with this one, this row. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, the entire row. Whoops, I want the row itself. So I'm selecting that row. And now I'm going to add my -50 here. Okay, that's going to provide that overlap, but in the right spot. Let's go ahead and update. Go to View Page. And as we scroll, you can see now it's now stopping at the right spot. It's now recognizing my toolbar and not going underneath the toolbar anymore. Okay, so that looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing we need to deal with is we need to deal with this issue of it going behind some of the components on the page. We don't want that. So let's go to Edit Page. All right, and we're going to go to the list view. I'm going to select this row, which is this one right here. And the row layout over here under the structure settings, if you open up the structure settings for the row layout, you will see that we have a Z index control. I'm going to set that to 99999. Okay, you can set it up to 1,000, but we'll stop here. And then I'm going to click Update and view the page. And now let's test it again. And you can now see that it has now brought that entire row to the forefront of the page. And everything looks good. Okay, this all looks good. All right, so we've achieved a sticky section using the sticky plugin, and that stays with the entire page. Now, what if I don't want this to continue throughout the entire page? Maybe when it gets to the map, I'd like it to just flow up. Okay, so not continue on. You could keep it to continue on if you want to, but what if I don't want it to continue on? I want it to stop. Well, let's have it stop. Let's have it stop here until I discovered cooking. Okay, so we'll have it stop there. So to affect that, click on Edit Page. And we're going to find that section, which is right here. Select that entire row. Look over here to the right. Scroll down to Advanced. And we're going to give this an element. And we're going to call this Stop Sticky. You can call it anything you want, but we're going to call it Stop Sticky. And if you ever want to find this, when you put in an anchor over here, if you open up List View, you'll see it right there next to the row. So it's very easy to find. So Stop Sticky is going to be our anchor. Okay. And now that we've done that, we're going to go to our sticky row, which is the second row over here. And we're going to open this up, and we're looking for the actual sticky section itself, which is this one. I'm going to select that sticky section. That's going to give me the sticky options. Looking over here to the right. And the push-up element that we selected is Stop Sticky. So just do a hashtag in the push element field and type Stop Sticky. And you want to do it the exact same way that you put it in, right? So it's capitalize with the stop with the S and capitalize with the S and no spaces. So just Stop Sticky exactly how it is in that row layout. Then we'll go ahead and click on Update. And when I view the page, if you start to scroll, it sticks to the top just the way we want. and it's continuing. And when we get to until I discovered, it will then disappear. It will then go up, move upwards. Okay, so plenty of use cases for something like this. Really great block to utilize. And it just creates a really nice effect. Now, how about on mobile devices? How does this look on the mobile device? Well, let's take a look. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use my Chrome developer tool. And we're looking at this now on mobile. Now, I want you to notice what happens. When you start scrolling, it still maintains the same sticky, right? And this is probably not optimal for, this probably is not optimal for a mobile device, at least not in this format, okay? So, and there are many ways to be able to handle something like this. But what we want to do is we don't want it showing up on mobile like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is close this out, go to edit page, and I'm going to go ahead and select that row again, and I'm going to open up my list view just to make sure that I have the row selected. So here's a row. I'm going to select this row, which is the second row. I'm going to look over here to the right, go to visibility settings, and I'm going to say, please hide this on the tablet, and please hide this on a mobile device. I only want it operational on a desktop. Okay, this is a Kadence feature. Click update. When we view the page and we check it out on our mobile device, use my Chrome developer tool again. And if you look, you'll see that it's not there. It's no longer there. All right. So let's keep our design nice and neat. Awesome. So with that, that will conclude our tutorial on sticky sections in Kadence and WordPress. Hey, if you like this tutorial and you'd like to see more, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified when I release new tutorials. I specifically focus around Kadence, WordPress, and awesome plugins, and we do web layouts as well. I have had a little bit of a hiatus, but I am back making tutorials again, and we'll be producing videos more regularly, a couple times per week. So I want to make sure that you get notified when that happens. So please make sure to subscribe. And if you are interested in Kadence and interested in picking up the Pro version, I do have some Pro tutorials that are coming out that really center around the Pro features of Kadence. Once again, thank you very much for watching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do read the comments and I would love to answer your questions. So please ask any questions that you have in the comment section below, and I will do my best to get back to you and answer your question. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.